Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first video verdict of the Dean Smith era. There we go. A lot happens. A lot has happened since I last did one of these, hasn't it? And there's the scoreline. Norwich City have won 2-1 here against Southampton. Back-to-back Premier League wins for the first time since 2016 when Norwich beat West Brom. Oh, I can't remember who the other win was against now. First time Norwich have come from behind to win a game in the Premier League since Watford, which was basically a throwaway at the end of the 2015-16 season that Norwich got relegated from. So quite a remarkable set of circumstances that we're dealing in truth, and no real complaints from here. This was a fascinating. I mean, clearly it's been fascinating since we were at Brentford. The whole palaver with Daniel Farke's sacking, which of course was confirmed after my video verdict in West London. There was so much to read on. There was so much, obviously, that played out, and so many different things and nuances and storylines to it all. The process of getting Dean Smith in. In fact, I haven't really talked about much of this on video to you guys. I've done loads of media stuff talking about it all, but not really to you guys. And maybe when we do our On the Ball podcast on Monday, that will be an opportunity to finally do that. But there's loads of it, and you can read it. And if there are any questions or holes or things you think hasn't been discussed or entered into or explained, I'd like to think it will cover it in The Athletic and one of the pieces, because I wrote a lot over that fortnight. But it all brought us to hear Dean Smith at Carrow Road introduced to pretty much full house, obviously, as usual here, and a really fascinating 90 minutes of football, because I think if you distill it now, if I distill it in my head, I actually think that we probably witnessed the changing of the two regimes, I suppose, encapsulated in 90 minutes. Now, I probably should bring in right here, right now, I've seen a lot of managerial changes, especially here in my time as both a supporter and as a journalist. The one thing I always find is that you have to be careful how you are judging the first game, especially, and the first several games. Everything's new. It's a new voice. Everything being taught is new. It's exciting. There's a lot more adrenaline. So we have to deal with this as it is. But by the same token, you also have to take what you've got and look at it and judge it and know that if things can continue, then that's good. If it doesn't, then it'll need to change. And, you've got to work around those sort of parameters. But really fascinating 90 minutes, because I thought in the first half, Norwich did really well to get back into the game immediately. It was a nicely worked goal. I would say Alex McCarthy in goal for Southampton probably didn't cover himself in glory with either goal, to be honest. Both came at his near post, both just sneaking in between him and the post. And I think he probably would have liked to have thought that he would have got to one or both of those to physically keep them out. But it was a Teemu Pukki header. We don't see many of them. But it was a nice move. That came on the 7th minute. Norwich were already behind after 4 minutes. And I have to be honest, when that went in, you're like, because not only have you got the feeling of puncturing any kind of initial feeling and belief, but you also have the scenario where Dean Smith lost at Villa at Southampton in the last game before we got sacked there to a really early goal that kind of ended the game. And you're like, and Grant Hanley on his birthday, I don't know exactly how fit he was, but there were a couple of slips, I thought, and errors in there that need to be cut out. Obviously, he got a very important moment later, of course, but he wasn't quite strong enough against Shea Adams as well, who is in a really good run of form, by the way, and took the goal really well. But it probably was symptomatic of Norwich's first half. It was all a little bit too easy. It wasn't strong enough. It wasn't robust enough, and it kind of just allowed Southampton too much. Southampton were excellent in the first half. I have to say, on that first half performance, they were better than Leeds. They were better than Brentford. They looked like the side that had won 4 games on the trot and looked, capable of doing more, because they were really energetic, high tempo, big switches constantly. Kyle Walker-Peters had the whole flank to himself pretty much. and Norwich never really got to grips with it at any point. So team selection was a 4-3-3, really, in truth, with quite a compact three of Billy Gilmore on the right, Norman left and deeper. Kenny McLean sort of on the left, but invited to go to push on if he wanted to. So he didn't really get the chance to do it much. And we had Milo Hruščica on the right, Todd Cantwell on the left, and then Pukki up front, and that was with Hanley and Gibson as the centre back. So not too surprising, probably. I was maybe surprised that both Todd and Billy got started together on their returns, obviously. And yeah, in the first half, it just didn't work. It was a bit too passive. I felt like, although they did get the goal back, they were just short of aggressive. They were within themselves quite significantly. Throw into the fact that Todd, I thought, struggled to be in the game. I thought he lost the ball in a couple of dangerous areas. Thought he was willing at times, but he may well have been training, but he definitely didn't look sharp. And I think in that instance, if that was what Daniel Farke was seeing in training, you'd say, yeah, at Premier League level where everything is 100 miles an hour and has to be really good and nailed, he was not that. And Billy Gilmore looked like the player we'd seen start for Norwich. Not the one who started against Denmark, say. But I was sort of perplexed. I was like, that's it, isn't it? Sort of would get turned around, he'd lose the ball would get played behind him really easily, and it would sort of all go around him, and he wouldn't be able to find the passes he wanted. There was one spell in sort of the 31st to 33rd minute where he started getting on the ball, moving it good tempo, and Norwich was starting to build, but then they lost the ball and they're back on the back foot again, and you're like, it's not working, is it? That is what we've seen of Billy Gilmore in a Norwich shirt. That's why he wasn't playing, and I've kind of maintained this all the time, that it's not been a straightforward case of, why is Billy not playing? He's like the best footballer in the world. So Norwich were actually probably quite fortunate to go in at 1-1, because I thought Southampton were excellent. And what I would say is, although Norwich gave up a lot of spaces all over the pitch, the one bit they did do pretty well after the goal was I thought they defended the 12 yards in front of the goal really well, whether that was Tim Krul making some excellent saves. I thought Ben Gibson was brilliant in terms of the blocks he was putting in. And they shut down quite a few crosses. So I thought quite a few. I thought in that area they actually did defend pretty well. And that kind of gave them a platform. We get to half time. Dean Smith changes the formation to what to me looked like a 4-1-4-1. So you suddenly had the two wide players in Hruščica and Josh Sargent, who came on in place of Todd Cantwell at half time. And it was a tactical switch by all accounts. So Norwich suddenly had more presence on the wings, because Southampton were just getting in and around and overloading the flanks all the time. It was becoming a real issue in that first half. And once Norwich sort of closed that down, but also as Dean Smith wanted them to do, press Southampton's number sixes, they managed to get a real control generally of the game. I wouldn't say they created a lot, but it was certainly a really even contest. And there was a period leading up to the goal, which was from a Billy Gilmore corner, which Grant Hanley, on his birthday, if I haven't said that, was apparently, he was supposed to send it to the front post, but send it to the near post. And again, Hanley headed it in just inside the near post. And again, Alex McCarthy probably should have kept it out. But that came from a period of sustained pressure. And what gets me about the way this game was dealt with from Dean Smith on his first game in charge is that he made proactive change tactically and in terms of personnel at half time. The result was better than the first half. I feel that we didn't see that a lot in the past 4 and a bit years. I feel like the strength of the past 4.5 years was a really good initial plan that would do well in the first half, and then either the opposition would figure it out or Norwich would do enough if they could. This was about face. It was really proactive, and of course Southampton had their chances that they didn't take. Of course, Norwich only picked up a win because of a corner that was headed in at the far post. But it was quite nice to listen to Ralph Hasenhüttl complain about a free kick that I haven't quite seen a replay of early in the game. I think in the build-up to Teemu Pukki's goal, not going their way. I want to hear more of that. I want to hear this place as it was in the all game, which was fantastic, and the chance that Dean Smith was getting, which is of course welcoming, and you would expect from that. That's the head of comms. He's beginning to build his part up a bit. I'm noticing now. The building of the building of the goodwill. And again, we're talking about very early days. We're talking about, a situation where Norwich have won a game. So of course, everyone gets a standing ovation when they come off. But I thought, again, Billy Gilmour in the second half in that slightly more advanced role looked infinitely more comfortable because the balance of the game meant that he wasn't being pushed back as much, but also Southampton weren't playing around him as much. So I think what you see from someone like Billy, I mean, Dean Smith absolutely raved about him post-match, by the way. And I think what you therefore see is someone that Dean Smith really wants to play, but the balance of the team needs to be right for Billy to flourish. And on that second half, he flourished, and it was great to see. A word for Brandon Williams, who I thought for the second game on the trot was very, very good in terms of just managing his game a lot of the time and looking reasonably comfortable. I thought from having Southampton being so good in the first half, they did tail off quite dramatically in that second half. I'm not really sure where they went to. Obviously, Norwich's changes didn't get the reaction Ralph would have wanted, and having gone into the start of the season thinking that Southampton might get dragged into it, the second half you look at that and think, well, maybe they could do, but it's difficult when a team is capable of winning 4 games on the trot, and that's kind of the position we're in, aren't we? Because Norwich have, I think today, in the second half, probably proven they can compete with a team like this in the actual business end of a game at Carrow Road, which, again, apart from against 10 men, are home to Bournemouth. Feels like it's been a long time. The Leicester game, I suppose, as well. I don't want to rewrite history. I'm really trying not to rewrite history. I don't want to do that. But it's certainly a really helpful scenario to build off it. From the proactive change, from the team selections, it's all helps to build into what Dean Smith wants to do and buys him some goodwill, which is great. And Norwich are off the bottom, of course, because Newcastle didn't beat Brentford, which I assumed was going to happen today. So really interesting next couple of games coming up. Of course, Dean Smith will get the whole week to work with them now before they host Wolves here next Saturday, which I have to say Wolves look a really decent side at the moment and in good form. Although I can't remember I know they went ahead against West Ham. I don't know how that game finished. And then Norwich head to Newcastle, and again, I don't know who Newcastle have got at the weekend, but of course it is feasible that Newcastle will still be winless when Norwich go to St James's Park, having been thrashed there 3-0 in pre-season, which the longer we went into this season was more a result that was playing on my mind, I would have to be honest. So fascinating couple of games, a real chance that, this is a one-off. We have to be honest, like that first half was a worry. But everything that then developed from it, the feeling around this place, Norwich being off the table and off the bottom of the table and getting that goodwill and just the feeling. I tell you what, you saw how they grew in that second half, and that was about, I didn't really feel at any point in the second half they didn't believe they could win the game, and that is a very refreshing feeling at this level. So for all that, let's enjoy it, soak it up, because we've got 7 days to sit on it, and you don't want to sit here going, oh, what if it doesn't stay? What if it doesn't carry on? Don't worry about that. Just enjoy it. We can deal with the rest when it comes. But, a nice scenario to play out. I think, Tim Krul, really good saves. Want to make sure I get mentioned for him. Tell you what, I've been critical of Josh Sargent. I thought he was outstanding in terms of his work rate and effort in that second half. It was brilliant. It was noticeable what they were lacking in that first half, and I thought he kind of led that. So you know what? Fair play. And I also have to say that I have preferred him in that wider role. It gives him more room to run. I don't think it works centrally because I think there's a more of a demand to play with his back to goal and work things through spaces. I want to see him get that ball and run. I mean, look, Rashica, I hope he's not going to play that I always want more from. I just did want a little bit more from him, but he certainly put a shift in. I think I've wrapped that all up. We'll be back here for Wolves on next Saturday. On the Ball podcast is, of course, on this this Monday. Quite a busy week. We've got the Norwich AGM in midweek and a few other bits that will probably come out in the wash. So keep an eye out on The Athletic and all my socials. In the meantime, thank you for your messages. I'll give them a read. Thank you for subscribing and for watching. And as always, all your time and kind words and criticisms and feedback, I always take it all on. But yeah, Norwich City have won back-to-back Premier League games. Lap it up. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy match of the day tonight. And I'll see you very soon. In the meantime, I should probably take the score off, but I don't necessarily want to. There we go. Have a lovely evening. Enjoy yourselves. And I will see you all again very soon.